Welcome to Boy Time Podcast. We're gonna get litty time, yeah. Oh, it's your Boy Time Podcast. Coming in with the slam dunk of a theme song.
Hi ho ho, it's me, Thomas Washington, back at it again with a new episode of the Boy Time Podcast. And as always, I'm joined by just Babby. I know. It's the end of an era, except not yet.
Not yet.
We're starting a little late. We got caught up with Atlanta, so Paul's not here. He has to get up early tomorrow, so he's not here today. Sounds like he's going to be back for the next couple of weeks, but there's a possibility that Paul may be absent from the podcast. I know, I'm so sad. But we'll do a big send-off thing if that ever comes to be. But we have a slam dunk week that Paul's just going to miss because we have a lot to talk about. We've had a lot of movie news. We had a lot of show news. We got a decent amount of gaming news. We have a gaming update, which I feel like I need to talk about because we took a pretty firm stance on it when the news came out, and then there have been updates, and I feel like I need to amend my statements. So we'll start with gaming. We won't start with that. We'll start with the actual news first. I don't remember if we talked about this last week, so I just included it anyways. Did we talk about the Witcher 1 remake?
Yes.
Yes?
I'm pretty sure we talked about something Witcher.
There was.
Pretty sure
That's
what
why
it
I
was.
was wondering.
Yeah.
But in case I didn't, there is a Witcher 1 remake coming out in the Unreal 5 engine. So they're not just going to reuse the Witcher 3 engine. They're just going to do the Unreal Engine 5. I think it's developed in-house by CD Projekt Red. It was just announced, so nothing really tangible of it yet. Speaking of not really tangible, we got a new business deal. If there's one thing that Disney learned from signing Star Wars games to EA is that they should never ever do that, which is why EA has signed an exclusivity deal with Marvel to make 3 games about Marvel Comics characters, starting with Iron Man. I don't know if they've announced who the other ones are. Yeah, because this worked really well before. I'm glad that Disney's ready to,
Of course,
do that again. We'll get to some Star Wars stuff a little later because there have been some developments with that. I don't think this is gonna be like the Star Wars exclusivity deal though, because Insomniac, as far as I'm aware, they're still making Spider-Man 2 and the Wolverine game. I don't know if there's any other Marvel games in development that we know of. There was that Iron Man VR game, but I think that already came out. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Iron Man's a pretty safe choice, I guess, if you're going to start a video game. I don't even know what it would be. The MVGU?
I suppose.
The MVGEAU? I don't know if these are going to be connected.
It'd be literally easier to just call it a video game.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes these alliterations are a little bit too much, where it's like MCTWTWT.
W.
It's like too much. It's too much. But I guess we'll keep you posted on that. I doubt that those are going to be good, but we'll see. We don't even know what studios are working on them yet, so that also makes a difference. And then we got one little thing. Phil Spencer, the CEO of Xbox, has been doubling down on the COD coming to PlayStation thing. He made a statement today, as of us recording it. I forgot to mention that this is the Halloween episode. Ooh. As of recording this, it's late. Yeah. It's a little late. because this will be coming out on November 2nd. But we are recording this on Halloween, so it is a fun little Halloween video. Or podcast. This isn't a video. Or it is a video. Kind of. Sorry. Phil Spencer said that Xbox and Activision are going to make COD available to PlayStation as long as there are PlayStations to ship to, which sounds a little ominous. Sounds like they're going to try to corner the PlayStation market and drive them out of business. And then he cited Minecraft as an example, where it's like, we have owned Minecraft for a while, and we are going to be like that. So I guess you can stop worrying about it if you are worried about it.
I don't think people were worried about it. That would be like a huge L if that happened.
Yeah.
I feel like Activision wouldn't let that slide as much. I feel like just as like a business perspective, they'd be kind of shooting themselves in the foot.
Yes. But I know that's something that PlayStation is very scared about. Like when they signed the deal for COD to come out for like the next 3 years, then PlayStation was like, that is not enough. We are too scared that we are going to lose COD. Which I guess is fair. I don't know. This isn't like anything solid. This is just him making a statement about it. They could definitely go back on their word 3 years down the line after this deal expires. But as
I
of
don't see
now,
them doing that unless COD really takes a downhill turn and doesn't sell as much copies, which never happens.
Well, here's the thing, because Phil Spencer also released a statement this week. I didn't actually write this down, but I did see it, where he was saying that he is aware of Xbox not pushing out a bunch of AAA games from their in-house developers. I don't know if that means that they want to start pumping out like Rare, if Rare wants to start making games again, or if I don't even know. What are Xbox studios? Rare's the only one I know. What do they own now? Blizzard?
Frick. They own like everything.
Blizzard. They own Bethesda and all the Bethesdas. So they have like, no, they don't have Eidos Montreal. This is so not important at all. But you know, if they ever get desperate enough, they could just make COD a AAA exclusive and then say, we have done our part to make AAA exclusive games again. I guess they don't count Halo Infinite.
I guess not. COD is just such a big seller where it kind of becomes a main focal point.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those games that's too big to not come out, at least on PlayStation. I don't see it going on Switch like Minecraft. No. Not exactly the same audience.
They have to make sure their games work on the main consoles before they try to do a freaking Switch version.
Yeah. Unless Nintendo unveils the Switch 2 or the lever.
The pulley system.
The pulley system. or they're just going to go back to their roots and make it a Switch U.
We too.
We too. We're bringing back the remotes because you guys missed it.
It's like the Switch, but you get 2 remotes instead of 2 Joy-Cons.
Honestly, I'm all for that because those Joy-Cons are small.
They are way too small. My hands cramp up way too quick.
Yeah. That's why I use the Pro controller, but that should be stock in the system, in my opinion. Because the Wii Remote was pretty versatile, and it was big enough to actually hold it like a human being would, and not like a lemur. Mm-hmm. I think Joy-Cons were made with lemurs in mind. That's the thing. All right, let's talk about Bayonetta. Have you heard about the Bayonetta thing?
I've seen like some things about it, but I haven't like cared enough to read into it too much.
Bayonetta came out this week. I don't think that's really the thing that we need to talk about. It did come out this week.
Nobody cared about that.
Nobody cares about that. We need to talk about the voiceover things.
Yeah.
So a couple weeks ago, I reported that Helena Taylor, the original voice actor for Bayonetta and Bayonetta 1 and 2, kind of made a video claiming that Nintendo offered her $4,000 to come in and do all of the voice acting for the whole game, which on its surface is an incredible slap in the face, and voice actors definitely deserve more. And I think that was kind of the stance that we took at the time. I was seeing a bunch of other voice actors coming out in support of this. Turns out this is a Juicy Smoulier thing this whole time. Oh no. It came out that that $4,000 rate was after the initial negotiations. That $4,000 was for a brief cameo that Helena Taylor was going to have, which I think $4,000 for 1 or 2 days work, I think that's completely reasonable.
Yep.
And also based on some other things, I have done my research. I have looked at voice actors and what they are saying about this. Sean Chiplock, he is the guy who played Rivali, the bird guy in Breath of the Wild. He said that he was, in total, he got around $3,000 for a supporting role in Breath of the Wild. Per union gig, the average is about $900 for a day's work. You go in, you do a gig, and then you're pretty much done. He got $3,000 because not only was he Rivali, but he was, I guess, a couple other like NPC characters where they go like, "Hey," you know. Michael Hollick, who was Nico Bellic in GTA 4. Nico, my cousin. He disclosed that he got $100,000 for 15 months of VA for GTA 4. But this is a point of contention because he felt that Rockstar mistreated him, and he thought that he was owed residuals, which I think is something that voice actors should get. Because actors get that in movies and TV shows whenever they get syndicated or, you know, they get a cut of the profits. If you're big, you know, Bruce Willis probably gets it on all those red box movies he makes. Mm-hmm. So he was a little upset about that. Troy Baker, friend of the show, Troy Baker, Joel from The Last of Us.
Friend of the show.
I don't know if I want to say that because he was also promoting NFTs, but he said
most
that
celebrities work because they just get offered money for some like random thing that their agent's like, "Hey, you should do
hey,
this."
you should do this. It's a great money making opportunity. But yeah, he's a friend of the show. He's Joel from The Last of Us. He made a statement that $100,000 is adequate for something of that scale, but he is also a supporter of the voice actors should get residuals. I should note that I'm getting most of this information from an IGN article called Bayonetta 3 Voice Actors Detail Their Pay, Workload, and the Dangerous Race to the Bottom, which was written by a freelance journalist that I guess works for IGN sometimes. So I thought that it did a pretty good job laying out where everything was. So now that we kind of have a rough idea of how much voice actors are paid generally when it comes to video games, we can kind of dig into what she was offered and what, I guess, if that is a good or bad thing. So for the original negotiations, she was offered between $4,000 to $6,000 per session. The total coming around $15,000 for the whole project. Taylor refused to budge on higher pay, and she also demanded a cut of residuals. I think it's fair. I think, you know, Nintendo probably could have paid her more. But I don't know how much VA is in Bayonetta. I've never played a Bayonetta game, but I don't imagine that it's a very dialogue-heavy experience like a Nico Bellic or Joel from The Last of Us, where it's pretty much like half of it is cutscenes. Because I'm pretty sure it's just like a hack and slash a la Devil May Cry or the original God of War. So then she was replaced, and then Helena Taylor, she got that offer that was the 4,000 for this cameo, and then she made a huge whole video about it. And she also urged people to boycott the game, which I don't think people really have, from what I can tell. It also came out that she was like, hey, if you're boycotting the game, then you should send that money that you would have gave to Nintendo and you should give it to charity. Sounds like a righteous cause, but she was plugging an organization called Billboards for Life in Kentucky. I'll let you fill in the blanks of what that is.
I feel like I've seen this so many times.
Yeah. So, yeah, the place where pro-life billboards need to be is Kentucky.
Yeah, you get a lot of traction there.
So, yeah, not the best thing. I mean, it was like in a list of things where it was like, support your local food banks, support homeless shelters, billboards for life in Kentucky. Oh, here's another thing. It's like, okay, you still plugged it though. In comparison, Anna Brisbane, she voiced one of the main supporting roles in the game. She live streamed her playing the game and donated all of the money to Trans Lifeline. So you got both sides of the spectrum in I guess Bayonetta 3. There's the whole shenanigans.
One person wants health care for everybody, and the other person doesn't want you to have an abortion.
Yes.
On a billboard.
On a billboard.
In Kentucky.
And if you're really passionate about that stuff, I don't think billboards are the best way to
Yeah. If you're passionate about that
support
stuff, you
women.
shouldn't be. You know?
No. But, I see billboards all the time, and it's like, what do you... is like the purpose of those to have like pregnant women drive on their way to the pro-life clinic, or not the pro-life clinic. They're driving to Planned Parenthood, and they're in Kentucky, and they're like, I'm going to get my abortion, which probably isn't even legal anymore. And I'm driving, and then I see on the billboard, it's a big picture of a baby, and it says, I had fingerprints at 5 days old. And then the mom is like, oh no, I am so sad. I can't believe
Guilt trip, baby.
I can't believe these cells in my uterus have fingerprints. That means that it's alive. I'm gonna turn this car around and become a strong
believe this
mother.
3-week-old fetus that could possibly kill me due to some underlying health conditions could have graduated high school at this point. That's crazy.
That's crazy. You don't usually like to get political here, but you should probably look up an actual photo of a embryo at like 6 weeks, 7 weeks, because it is just slime. And I don't think that's a human, but to each her own, I suppose. Let's talk about show news, because we got some stuff to talk about. I think the most exciting out of this bunch is that Inside Job Season 2 got a release date.
Let's go.
Yeah, November 18th.
Yes,
Just
sir.
a couple weeks away. 1899 is also coming out. I think that might be next week. Because it is, I think it's early November that comes out. So those will be fun. I think we'll probably finish up this season of Sopranos, and then we'll start churning through these new shows that are coming out. Mm-hmm. So that'll be fun. We got some news about the Arkham Asylum spinoff of the Batman. It is going to be directed and show ran by Antonio Campos, who did such films as The Staircase and Devil All the Time, that movie with Tom Holland that nobody saw. I don't know. I don't know anything about this dude. I have not seen any of his previous works, but I think the premise of an Arkham Asylum show is pretty cool. So, there you go. And speaking of gamers, Henry Cavill is no longer Geralt of Rivia in The Witcher.
Oh, no.
I'm crying. Yeah, so Season 3, I think that hasn't come out yet. So He's still in season 3, but once season 4 comes around, he's been replaced by the one, the only Liam Hemsworth, the guy who is known for being the second pick. So that'll be fun. I don't watch The Witcher, so I don't really have any feelings about this. But I saw someone made like a meme where it was like Henry Cavill making like this really serious decision. And on one side it was money, and then on the other side it was more money. And you can guess which one he chose. Because I guess Superman's coming back. I haven't seen Black Adam, but spoilers for Black Adam.
Spoilers for Black Adam.
I know that's going to eliminate everybody who watches
You can
this
already
podcast.
put together the context clues before the spoiler warning.
I guess that is true, but I guess the Marvel-esque post-credits scene was a little cameo by Henry Cavill's Superman, as he's the only one who was able to kill the one, the only, The Rock.
Black Adam.
Black Adam. Can we do like a reverse Morbius on this movie? I mean, I guess we kind of already did because nobody is seeing this movie. But I just love it if we could get the studio to like, all right, not a reverse Morbius, because a reverse Morbius is the Minions. Yeah, but an actual Morbius would be Black Adam, where everybody's like super pumped about it, and then the studio re-releases it, and then they lose millions of dollars.
Yeah,
I would like that, because Warner Brothers, they need to take a hit, because they've been taking too many W's, if you ask me. We need to keep them in line, right?
Great business decisions all around.
Yeah. Speaking of a great business decision, A24 hit indie studio. They are developing a Friday the 13th prequel show called Crystal Lake for Peacock. I just want to take this moment to take a brief reflection on how Friday the 13th went from a blatantly just TNA movie with kills in it to an A24 produced show. It's kind of weird how that goes. Should have picked Halloween.
Why does every horror franchise need like 16 different installments?
It's a great question. I don't know. But
they just milk those things harder than the MCU, and that's like saying something.
Yes. Well, I think nowadays those classic slasher franchises have been pretty much dead.
Well, now they're kind of tame.
Except for Halloween.
They used to be insane.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, John Carpenter, when he did Halloween 2, I think he wrote it in like 18 hours, and he was stoned the entire time.
That's a good sign.
No, it's not a very good movie. And he pretty much is like, yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember writing that movie at all. I probably would have done it better if I was sober. So yeah, no, the turnaround was insane for those, which means they are insanely hit or miss. But yeah, you don't see Friday the 13th. Nobody's making a new... Well, I guess now they're making a new Friday the 13th. No, they're not making a new Nightmare on Elm Street. I think they finished the Halloween trilogy they're doing now, but I don't know if this one was successful, but I guess we'll see. Nobody's making a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, as far as I'm aware, because that's somehow a franchise. Nobody's doing a Psycho. Nobody's making Psycho 6. I didn't know there were Psycho sequels until like a week ago, and now my entire worldview is different. And also, they're not making any new Exorcist movies. I guess they stopped at 3. But, yeah, I have no idea why they did that. I mean, I know why they did that, because cash. It's the same with MCU. It's like, why do they keep making superhero movies? Because people watched them. And that's why they made 6 Friday the 13th movies in 10 years. It's a little bit of history for you.
Little Easter egg.
A little Easter egg. I also didn't know that A24 is developing that Weekend show that's going on HBO. Now I'll probably watch it.
It does make sense, I guess.
Yeah. Did they produce Uncut Gems?
I thought so.
That wouldn't surprise me.
It seems like an A24 kind of movie.
Yeah, I still have not seen Uncut Gems, unfortunately. Yeah, it's produced by A24. I saw that they're making a new movie. The Safdie brothers are making a new movie with Adam Sandler. So I guess they're keeping that going. We'll see if they can keep him. They have to. The thing with Adam Sandler, and this is a little bit of a tangent, but I guess that's okay. Adam Sandler is very good in a very specific role, and you have to write a character for him. You can't have him like sub in for like, I don't know, like in the '90s, you couldn't have him like sub in for Woody Harrelson or Wesley Snipes, because there's a lot of crossover there. But like Punch Drunk Love, Paul Thomas Anderson had Adam Sandler in mind, and he is perfect in that movie. I don't know if they had Adam Sandler in mind for Uncut Gems, but I've heard that he's pretty dang good in it. So
Uncut Gem.
you just have to know that he's not gonna. Well, he's he's not very versatile. He's kind of like Nick Cage, where you get him in a specific role and he's great, but you get him out of his comfort zone and he's bad. So. And also, Adam Sandler just doesn't try like 90% of the time.
That's what makes him awesome.
That's what makes him awesome. I love...
He's just a goofy dude.
He's so goofy. I love his Jewish songs he would do on SNL.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Star Wars. We had a new Star Wars show come out this week.
Beauty.
I know, you can stop. You can turn off your brain for like 5 minutes.
I bet.
Okay. We got a new Star Wars show came out this week. It's not Andor. No, Andor's been really, really good. I think it's the best thing that Disney has done with Star Wars, unless they really biff it at the end. But so far, it's been really, really solid. But we got another one. It is Tales of the Jedi. It is yet another Clone Wars spinoff, or at least it's in the same animation style as the Clone Wars, same as the Bad Batch. And it's like 6 shorts. Each one's around 10 to 15 minutes long. And each one is a different aspect of 2 Jedi's lives, kind of. Getting a little complicated here. But one of them is Dooku before he became a Sith. And one of them is Ahsoka. I'm starting to get why friend of the show, Grant, does not like Ahsoka. Because she really is in everything. Of all of the Jedi to pick that need like more story, Ahsoka is not one. She is very fleshed out in the Clone Wars. She is in Rebels. She is in Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, and she has a whole book about her. And they're making a new show about her that's coming out next year. She does not need the Tales of the Jedi treatment. Dooku, on the other hand, does. And his segments were awesome. I absolutely loved the Dooku stuff. It was so interesting. Just seeing, like, in the Clone Wars, the Republic is kind of shown as, like, the good guys, because that's the side that the Jedi are on. And so all of them are going to be good guys. But this show kind of shows the aspect to the Republic where it really was super corrupt, and the Jedi were becoming corrupt too, which is what led to Palpatine kind of coming in and taking everybody by surprise, because the Jedi were just bad. At that point, they had become less attached to the order and the teachings of the Jedi and more like a branch of the Republic Senate, which is not great. You don't want your enforcement or your neutral enforcers to be attached to a government, because that's real life, baby. So then Dooku kind of becoming disillusioned with the Jedi totally makes sense, and it's really interesting to see his slow descent. We see him with a young Qui-Gon, That one was super awesome. Like right as the Phantom Menace is happening is at the last of Dooku's, and I'm gonna talk about Yaddle. This is probably the most important thing to come out of Tales of the Jedi. Yeah, it is because Yaddle is voiced by Bryce Dallas Howard, who has been writing and directing a lot for The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett and stuff. But Yaddle is a part of Yoda's species. She has never had a speaking line. She is briefly shown in The Phantom Menace as being on the Jedi Council. She is no longer there in Episode 2. Now we know why. But the most important thing is that she doesn't speak like Yoda does. She speaks like a regular person. So then why does Yoda speak in riddles?
Because he's quirky.
Is he a funny little guy?
He's just a little silly.
I had seen things before the show came out because we knew Yaddle was going to be in it and voiced by Bryce Dallas Howard. So people were like, what if she doesn't speak like Yoda does? And it just proves that Yoda's just a weird little dude that likes speaking in riddles. And I was like, there's no way. They got to keep him like that. And no, Yoda is just a weird dude that speaks in riddles because Yaddle just talks like a normal person, which I guess means that Baby Yoda is going to talk like a normal person too. And now I have been disillusioned with Star Wars and I am done being a fan. All of this continuity just doesn't make any sense. Although I'm pretty sure around this time Yoda would have been around 840 years old, whereas Yaddle is around 300 years old. So who knows? Maybe 500 years before Yaddle was graced to be in the Star Wars universe, maybe everyone just spoke in riddles and Yoda's just not dropped that habit. Except I know they haven't because KOTOR is a thing and nobody talks like that. And I think he's in the High Republic books and he still talks in riddles. So I don't know who taught him to speak like that, but they have, irreparably changed everything. If Yoda talked normal, then the Jedi would not have all got wiped out. That's all I'm going to say. So, yeah, watch the Dooku ones. The Ahsoka ones are fine. We get to see her birth on Traguda planet.
Live birth? That's crazy.
No, you don't get to see that. But you don't. It's not a close up, but you do actually see like the midwives and stuff around Ahsoka's mom, and then it's like, oh, they find out that she is the Force, and then the next one is like Ahsoka in like right after the Clone Wars movie, and Anakin's like training her in a very unconventional way, but that is par for the course. He's just training her. He's like, training droids are too predictable. I'm just going to have a bunch of my clone troopers just stand in a circle and shoot you. I was like, yeah, that's Anakin. He just does that. And then the last one was post Clone Wars, in between Clone Wars and Rebels, where Ahsoka's laying low. AKA, I'm pretty sure it's the Ahsoka book. I've read like 50 pages of it, and it just didn't grab me, even though I really like Ahsoka. And so it's the moment that she kills the Inquisitor and gets her lightsaber crystals that she changes from red to white, and that explains the white lightsabers, except you don't actually see it, so it's just me. I'm the only person. Like, if you want to explain why she has white lightsabers, because nobody knows except for diehard fans, then you should do it in a show like this, and you don't even show it. You just show her getting to red crystals, but then you don't show her making them white. Just to, whatever, this is too nerdy. But, yeah, I'm hoping for a season 2. I've seen some people throw around some sequel Jedi, like showing Leia getting Jedi training and then Ben Solo. I would really be into that. Not because I am not a fan of the sequels, but I think there was just so much potential that was wasted, frankly. Because The Force Awakens sets up a whole bunch of stuff that is interesting. and then it's just kind of fumbled throughout the entire trilogy. But we'll see. I'd also really like an Obi-Wan one, because we don't really know anything about his background. I think that could be interesting. Good to see some Obi-Wan Anakin stuff as always, and then I don't know, maybe show him as an old man. We've seen him as a middle-aged man. Show him. Bring back Alec Guinness. Bring him back from the dead, and have him play Obi-Wan. They already did it in The Force Awakens. You just didn't notice. We're going to talk a little bit about Star Wars news, because there's been some developments. There was an announcement of a new Star Wars project, and people, can we stop? Can Star Wars fans just stop getting so excited every time a new project is announced when we know literally nothing about it? Because it's just like, hey, this is a movie that's being made by this well-known producer. Do you want to get excited about it? It might be set after the events of Rise of Skywalker, and people are going crazy. Like, yo, post-sequel content. Like, okay, cool. Let's wait. We know literally that's just a rumor. That might not even be true. I think that Disney's probably going to wait to do post-sequel content for the sequel kids to grow up a little bit. Because got to have that nostalgia. Didn't make the Clone Wars until 7 years after Revenge of the Sith. So, yeah, and it was kind of announced that Lucasfilm, they've been delaying their new projects, their new movies, because they have fear and indecision. Yeah. Honestly, just pick something. If the diehard fans are gonna be there, they're gonna watch it no matter what. I saw all of the Star Wars movies that Disney made, and I only liked one of them, and that's kind of like borderline. The shows have been better, but just pick something and stick with it. It's been way too indecisive. It's been like, oh, we want to do Solo movie, and we recast Han Solo. Oh no, it didn't perform well at the box office. Oh no, we're never going to recast legacy characters ever again, and we're going to just scan everyone's face and deep fake them like Luke, because everyone liked that, right? Just make new characters, and then just have a set plan. Have a plan. If you're going to make a trilogy, Rian Johnson, I'm looking at you, because you're apparently the next guy, except he's making Knives Out. But I saw that he had a meeting with Kathleen Kennedy this week. If you're going to make a trilogy, you should know how the trilogy ends. You know? The prequel trilogy was bad, but at least there was a point. The whole point of the prequel trilogy is to show Anakin's fall and how he became Darth Vader. Not very interesting. I think the whole geopolitical stuff that was set up in those movies was more interesting than that. Maybe it's just because it wasn't executed very good. But at least the prequels had a point. The sequels have no point. It was like, oh, who is Rey? And then Rey is nobody. And then, oh, Rey is somebody. And also Palpatine's back because fuck you. That's the sequels. Sorry, I'm a little upset. I do want to briefly talk about Andor because Andy Serkis was in the newest episode, and I can't not see him as Alfred. So sorry, Andy Serkis. I know you've had a very long and colorful career. You were Gollum. I also can't unsee his eyes as Gollum's eyes, but that's another thing. But he plays like an angry prison guard, and I don't know. I'm just like, oh, that's Alfred. He's going to get blown up by mail sent by the tricky Riddler. So, there you go. Let's talk about movie news. We love movies here.
I love movies.
I love movies. Who said that? That's a quote. Where he's like, I love movies.
I don't know. I think Wise Blood said it in her hit song Movies.
She did.
Except she kind of like said it like throughout like 30 seconds. It was very drawn out. So,
yeah, I don't think that was what I was referencing.
no.
I don't. I searched I love movies and nothing is showing up, surprisingly. So, sorry. we're going to talk about John Carpenter because John Carpenter keeps doing interviews and they keep making me laugh. This is my favorite headline of the week. John Carpenter isn't worried about Halloween remakes affecting his legacy. I really don't care. Seems about right.
Let's go.
Here's a quote. My movie exists. Make your own. You want to pay me a bunch of bucks? Fine. Have a great time. John Carpenter's a man. I'm really liking this guy every time he opens his mouth. He's been great. Speaking of horror, what is that? Horror icons. Shelley Duvall is being in a new movie. Shelley Duvall is the lady in The Shining. She kind of took a break from acting, obviously. If you know anything about how Kubrick treated her on set, it is obvious that she took a break from acting. Tippi Hedren also took a break from acting when she was traumatized by Alfred Hitchcock and the Birds, which led her to make Roar, a movie about lions eating people. So, well, it's not about that, but that is what happened in the movie. So Shelley Duvall's coming back. First film in 20 years to the indie horror thriller The Forest Hills.
Forest Hills Drive?
Forest Hills Drive. Oh, J. Cole? It's probably a J. Cole movie.
Probably. A J. Cole genre of movie.
Ooh. We have Kid Cudi genre of movie. Now we have to have J. Cole genre of movie. I've not seen Kid Cudi's movie, by the way, but I've heard good things. So, who knows? But the synopsis of the Forest Hill Drive J. Cole film is it follows a disturbed man who is tormented by nightmarish visions after enduring head trauma while camping in the Catskill Mountains. Duvall will play his mother. Okay. I don't know. Shelley Duvall's great in The Shining. It's almost like she wasn't acting at all. She was just genuinely terrified and sleep deprived and mentally assaulted by a crazy man who faked the moon landing. You can tell that he faked the moon landing because the kid in The Shining is wearing a sweater that has a rocket on it. That means that it's a little hint that Kubrick faked the moon landing because the kid is wearing a rocket on his t-shirt, and Kubrick made 2001: A Space Odyssey, so he knows how to fake space footage. You stupid idiots who thought that NASA did it. It's not NASA, it was Kubrick, and he's been doing it all along, and you guys are so dumb for buying it. Evil Dead Rise is a movie that is coming out in April.
Oh.
Yeah, a new Evil Dead movie. The first one since the last time they made a new Evil Dead movie in 2013. And it's the last Evil Dead thing since that show Ash vs. the Evil Dead, which was a show that came out in 2017, I think. I hope I got all of those dates right because I did not look those up beforehand. We got a little bit of it's just like a photo of the Evil Dead hag, which is just like a zombie lady. It's not directed or written by Sam Raimi, and it's shot by someone who has never worked with Sam Raimi, so I am not going to watch this film. I frankly don't care about it. I just wanted to bring it up because there's a new Evil Dead movie being made, but I don't care. Let's talk about animation. We got a big old versus battle, a big team battle against Guillermo del Toro and Disney CEO Bob Chapek. Can you guess what team I'm on?
Not Disney.
That's right. It's a debate on animation audiences. Guillermo del Toro has been doing a lot of press promoting animation as a legitimate art form because he made an animated movie, and I guess that's it. I saw that studio Netflix, I guess, is petitioning not only for Pinocchio to win Best Animated Movie, but for Pinocchio to get a Best Picture nom. I guess we'll see if it's that good. But Guillermo said, we wanted to show animation is not a genre for kids. It's a medium. Animation is film. Animation is art. And it can tell stories that are gorgeous and complex. Big true. Bob Chapek stumbled in. after having 7 lines of Coke and talking to James Cameron about Avatar 6. He said, I always say that when parents put their kids to bed at night after watching an animated film, they're probably not going to tune into another animated movie. They want something for them. So, yeah, I guess the debate is whether you
He's
think...
not wrong because he's coming at it from a marketing perspective, and that's
Yeah.
what numbers show. But like, he's wrong.
He is wrong. There is a lot of good adult animated
Yeah.
things. There are even successful adult animated things, like my favorite show, Rick and Morty.
Rigor mortis.
I would say that is one of the most popular shows that is out. Well, at least it was. I don't know if it still is.
I don't think it is anymore.
Okay. Well, that just shows that not only animation is successful, but adult animation is successful. Has the potential to be. You just have to have a good writer like Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland playing the same guy he always does, which is
In every single show.
That's my Justin Roiland impression. It's not very good, but I've been talking for a while. Yeah. I'm very excited for Pinocchio. It has I believe it has a 99% now, sitting at a 100. Everybody who's seen it at TIFF has been giving rave reviews, saying that it might be Guillermo's best movie, which is crazy because it's a Pinocchio movie, and this man made Pan's Labyrinth, and honestly, Nightmare Alley is really, really solid. But, who knows? I guess we'll see later. Let's talk about business. I am a businessman, and I love talking about business plans. You know DC Studios?
Yeah.
No, you don't. Not anymore. There's a new head honcho in charge, and his name is Director of Scooby-Doo, James Gunn.
Let's go.
And Peter Safran, who produced most of James Wan's stuff, like the Annabelle series and Aquaman and all of the stuff that James Wan has done. They are going to be running DC's movie, TV, animation department. They are both co-CEOs and co-chairs of DC Studios. This is James Gunn we're talking about. The guy who used to work with Roger Corman in the 90s. I know that means nothing to you, but that means something to someone out there. I think this is a good idea. Apparently, they have described it as Gunn will handle the creative side, Safran will handle the business side. Also, a fun little nugget, DC apparently asked Kevin Feige to do it first. And you'll never guess what Kevin Feige said. No, thanks. I'm getting paid millions of dollars with Disney. I'm not going to jump ship right before Black Panther 2 comes out. I tell you what. Yeah, I think this is a good move. I think James Gunn is one of the best creative minds right now. I was a little concerned because they didn't announce that Peter Safran was also going to be there. So I'm like, James Gunn is not a businessman. I don't know why they would put him as the CEO of DC Studios. But now that I see that Peter Safran is there, who is also not a businessman, he's a film producer, a pretty good film producer, or at least competent. Doesn't mean that he's a good businessman. I guess we'll see. I know nothing about business. I just know that there are people who study business, and I don't think that Peter Safran is one of them. That's all I'm going to say. What do you think about this? Do you think it's good or bad or in between?
I don't have an opinion, but I like James Gunn.
Okay. I think that's the right answer.
I watch the stuff that the studios put out if I'm interested in it, and then I don't do any other digging ever. Because I could care less about Disney throwing millions of dollars at some random person to do one mediocre thing before he leaves.
Yeah, that's usually, I do care about the studios because I think that's a good indicator of things. You see those Searchlight Pictures things before you watch a movie, you know it's either going to be some artsy bullshit or it's going to be something pretty good. So I guess you could say the same thing about A24. I pretty much just described A24.
Yes.
When it comes to big studios like this, I think that the whoever's at the helm is insanely important. Kevin Feige, if anyone else was in charge of Marvel, I think it would not be doing as well as it is doing. I think a perfect example is Kathleen Kennedy, who is the lead at Lucasfilm. She has shown herself to be a very... They need James Gunn to come in and fix Star Wars. Maybe Taika's making a Star Wars movie. Have him come in and fix it. I don't really trust him either. He's kind of a wild card, but I think it would be better than Kathleen Kennedy. It's the same thing. Kathleen Kennedy is an insanely talented producer. She produced for like Steven Spielberg, others. I can't think of them off my head. But she did like every single Spielberg movie, or at least the ones you've heard of. She's very, very good at being a producer. She is not good at running a studio and making sweeping creative decisions. I think that's Kevin Feige's strong suit. He's very good at setting up a story and building to something, which is what I was talking about earlier. Have a plan. He knew that Thanos was going to be the big guy. He knew it from day one. Ever since he made the Incredible Hulk movie in 2008 by Ang Lee, he knew that Thanos was going to be the big bad guy at the end, even though he was not there at all. But he knew. That's business. Business, business, business.
Business.
As part of our Halloween special, I watched 3 classic Halloween movies. None of them are Halloween films. I watched Scream, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Dawn of the Dead. And I thought 2 out of the 3 of those were really good. Spoiler alert, I gave Dawn of the Dead 5 out of 5 stars. It's great. But let's talk about Scream. Do you know anything about Scream?
I like the funny mask.
It is a funny mask. They make it a point in the movie to show that mask is just like everywhere. It's just like something that you could buy at like a gas station. Yeah, it's like, it's not special at all. Like Mike Myers' mask is very specific.
Yeah.
Freddy's mask is not. It's just a hockey mask. What makes it specific is that in Friday the 13th 3, someone hit him over the head with a machete, so he has like a notch right above his right or left eye. And that's the only constant throughout every single Friday the 13th movie, is that there's a little notch where the machete went. But Scream, it's a dude in a just a spooky ghost mask and a really cheap cloak, and he kills people with like I think it's like a gutting knife. It might be like a fishing fillet knife. I don't know. It's not like super thin or curved like that. I don't know what kind of knife it is. It's not very distinct. It's not like a machete or Mike Myers does the kitchen knife. Steak knife? Butcher's knife? I don't know. Cleaver? No, it isn't a cleaver. It's like it's a kitchen knife. And then Freddy's got the claws. Same with Edward Scissorhand also has the claws. But Scream, I gave 4 out of 5 stars. It was really, really solid. Originally, the title of the movie was going to be Scary Movie, and it was going to be a parody of scary movies. They changed the name, and then they kept that in their minds because they really thought that was a good idea, and then they made millions of dollars on the Scary Movie franchise. But then they did Scream. Scream, it's directed by Wes Craven, who I think he directed the first Nightmare on Elm Street. So he's also kind of a horror icon. Same with Rob Zombie.
I love Rob.
It was kind
Zombie.
of a joke. Kind of a
joke?
joke?
Like kind of not.
Kind of not. It's weird. He's even more hit or miss than like Wes Craven. Because Wes Craven did like all the Scream sequels, which apparently are not very good. But Scream 1's great. It has Matthew Lillard in it. Gotta love Matthew Lillard. It has Nev Campbell. It got Courtney Cox. It is like the most 90s movie I have ever seen. Everyone is dressed to the nines in baggy pants and beanies, like not navy, but like olive green beanies with like tan stripes. You know the ones I'm talking about. It is very 90s. And it is very, very good. It's very self-aware. Like, horror movies exist in this universe. They mention Halloween like 7 times. I think they bring up like The Exorcist and Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. Like, they blatantly call out other horror movies and their tropes, and they're like, I'm not gonna do that. Or they just blatantly recreate shots. Like, there is a shot that is straight out of Halloween that is very funny. Henry Winkler's in it too. He's uncredited in the movie, which is crazy because he plays the principal of the school, and he's in it a lot. Like, he has a couple scenes that are just dedicated to him, and he has no credits. But he's great, as always. He plays a principal that may or may not be... He may or may not be into the students. That's all I'm going to say. It is never explicitly said, but he acts really weird. Unlike
My
Henry
favorite
Winkler.
movie trope.
Yeah. It was so weird that coming out of Henry Winkler's mouth because he's such a nice guy. I know him from Barry. He's just everyone's dad. Well, not really. But he is in the last season of Barry. I thought that there was some funny things. They had some cameos. Linda Blair played a reporter. She had a little cameo. Linda Blair is the kid in The Exorcist, who is the demon. The demon lady. I'm a demon. There was a cameo by Wes Craven. He was a janitor that Henry Winkler like opened a hall to, and he was just there. He was in a red and black striped sweater and a big old hat. He was doing his Freddy Krueger cosplay, and then he named the janitor Fred. Yeah, that's the tone of this movie. And also he kind of compared himself to John Carpenter because they were talking about horror movies, and one of the chicks is like, "Oh, I think I saw that in one of those Wes Carpenter films." It's like, okay, I kind of see you, Wes Craven, but watch Scream. It's great. It's a good movie, and you'll never see the twist coming. I didn't. There's like 3 red herrings as to who the ghost face guy is. And
It's actually Ghostface.
it's actually Ghostface Killer. Which came first, Scream or Ghostface Killer?
When
Scream-
did the first Scream come out?
Scream came out in 1990.
So Scream the movie came first, I think.
Sorry? Scream came out in 1996.
Oh, never mind.
So did Ghostface Killer come out before? Oh yeah, Enter the Wu-Tang is 1993.
Yeah.
Oh. Interesting. I wonder if Wes Craven is a Wu-Tang man. For some reason I doubt that, but it wouldn't surprise me. Next I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This movie's bad. I know it has like a 4.1 on Letterboxd, and everyone and their dad loves this movie, but I've never been more uncomfortable in my entire life. If Scream is the most 90s movie I've ever seen, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the most 70s movie I've ever seen, and that is not a compliment. The 70s, I think, if I were to like pick the grossest decade where everyone's just sweaty and everything is brown and puke colored, it's the 70s. The fashion was good. The music was good. But everything's just so gross. And this movie does not help that stereotype at all. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, everyone is sweaty. Everyone is gross looking. Everyone that they meet is like cannibal. And they're weird. Like, every person they meet is a cannibal in Texas. It's crazy. I would not recommend this movie. I think people like this movie because it's shot like a home video or something. Like, it's not cinematic. I think you see the shot at the end. Like, everyone knows the ending of this movie where the chick's in the car. She's in like the back of the truck. She's like covered in blood, and she's like laughing. And then Leatherface is running around with the chainsaw. He's like, "Rah." That's like the only cinematic part of this whole movie. The rest of it is shot so flat. It's shot like a 50s horror movie. Not a compliment, because 50s horror movies are some of the most drab, boring movies ever. Watch the original Blob. I dare you. Like 80% of that movie's just talking. It's not good. And this movie is also pretty much just talking. And then the last third of the movie is really, really disturbing. So much so that I was shocked that it came out in like 76. The gore effects are phenomenal, especially comparing that to Dawn of the Dead, which also has great gore effects, but they are not anywhere close to the realism that Texas Chainsaw Massacre is somehow able to achieve 50 years ago. There is one scene where this couple, they go out. The whole reason they go over to Leatherface's house is because this one dude's like, yeah, there's a swimming hole around here. You should just follow that trail. And luckily, the trail leads right to Leatherface's house. I guess. I don't know. It kind of made me think that the guy who was telling people to go swimming was Leatherface, because they have a similar build and they have similar hair. And I'm like, oh, okay. So this is the twist. The twist is that Leatherface is this dude. But then Leatherface kills that dude, like, right away. So probably not the same person. I don't know. Maybe they established that in the sequels. But yeah, there's a scene where the boyfriend has already been incapacitated, and then the girlfriend runs in to help, and she just kind of gets picked up by Leatherface and put on a meat hook and forced to watch Leatherface.
Dead by Daylight reference.
That's a great Dead by Daylight reference. She's put on a meat hook, and she watches Leatherface chop up her boyfriend, and as she anticipates what's next, it was horrible to watch. So the only good thing in the movie is that there's a chair that I audibly said out loud, even though I watched it by myself. I said, that is so fucking metal, because it was this couch, and it was like made of a skeleton, and the skeleton was like kind of stretched out, so like all of the bones were like spread out and spaced apart, so that it looked like the skeleton was like giving like a huge hug. Kind of, that was the situation. Like the armrests were the arms, and then the legs were the legs of the couch, and then you sat on like a pelvis thing. It was like you were this huge skeleton. Like, that's awesome. It didn't help that that room also was just covered in ashes and bones, and there was like a random chicken in a cage. But that was really cool. I liked that. That was pretty cool. I would have liked that in like a Tim Burton movie, or literally anything else but this movie, but that was pretty cool. I gave it 1.5 stars for the cool couch, which maybe is too generous, but I didn't want to be too unpopular. I was too peer pressured by that 4.1 on Letterboxd. But this one, Dawn of the Dead, fantastic movie. I did a complete 180, where I watched maybe the worst horror movie I've ever seen, to now I think this is one of the best. This is really, really great. George Romero, God rest your soul. What a beautiful man. He has a cameo in this movie, and he looks at the camera. I think he did it unintentionally. I just thought that was kind of funny. This one also takes place in the 70s, but it's not gross. It's just in a 70s shopping mall. It's what if zombies in the mall, which I guess to clear that up, because that has been done before, or not before this, but it has been done since. Zack Snyder's first movie was a Dawn of the Dead remake, and it is widely regarded as one of his best movies. So it was only downhill from there. But George Romero, for those who don't know, he was the guy who essentially made the zombie thing as we know it today. Without George Romero, there is no Walking Dead. There is no Last of Us. There's no World War Z even. Everyone loves World War Z, but it's hard to think of a world without World War Z. And, you have George Romero to thank for that. There was like myths, like it was like a white myth that like, oh, yeah, voodoo in the Caribbean, you can raise people from the dead. But they weren't called zombies. George Romero also never called them zombies. I don't know who came up with that. But this movie establishes a lot of the rules that are still common in zombies today. If you get bit, you're infected. I think that's quintessential zombie. Zombies are slow and they have their hands out. I'm doing it right now, which you can't see, but you know what I'm talking about. Zombies have their hands out and they go. Ugh. They never want brains in this movie. So I guess that's something that came later. Also, the only way to kill a zombie is you have to destroy the brain or remove the head. I think that's a line from Shaun of the Dead. I think that's also how you killed him in The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I know that because of the game, the Saints and Sinners game. Also, I found out that this is a little bit of a tangent, but did you know that The Walking Dead was developed by Frank Darabont, who made... Do you know who Frank Darabont is?
I know him because of The Walking Dead.
Oh, you know him from other things, because he made The Green Mile and The Shawshank Redemption. He is one of the best filmmakers of all time, and he made The Walking Dead, which I thought was surprising, but...
Yeah.
Apparently,
He only was there for like the first season and a half.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then AMC dropped him because question mark.
I don't know. Maybe he only wanted to do
Maybe
one season. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing nowadays. I don't think he really does anything. So, come back, Frank Darabont. I'd love The Green Mile too. Tom Hanks is still around, and he'll do anything. But back on track. Dawn of the Dead. It's a great film. There is 4 people. There are 4 white, or not 4 white people. There are 3 white people, and 1 black person. Surprisingly,
He's first.
Oh, I was about to say, he is one of the only people that makes it out. I know. Surprise. I was totally expecting him to got first. Like, okay, this is a horror movie from the 70s. But George Romero, he was ahead of his time. He knew that this was going to be a trope, so he subverted the expectations, Rian Johnson style. Yeah, the black guy and there's the first white guy. They're like soldiers, I think. They're either soldiers or like SWAT members. The first scene we see of them, they're raiding like a project housing or something. One of the other guys is like, I can't wait to kill all these Puerto Ricans, and a word that shall not be said. So they might be SWAT. They're probably police, given that attitude. But yeah, they raid the building because the outbreak of the zombies, it is mainly targeting lower to middle class people. Because George Romero, it's real life in George Romero. There's no like... Before the zombies things, it was like you had to have a witch, and then she would like woo, and then zombies would just come out of the grave. George Romero is just like, nah. One night, just zombies kind of just got up one time, and then they just started biting people. But the zombies are so lame in this movie. Like, I'm kind of used to zombies being like Last of Us zombies, where they kind of can run around, and they can't talk, but they do make sounds. In this movie, they are the worst zombies in the whole entire world. They just kind of stumble around. Like, there are moments where there's, like, swarms of them, and then, like, the guy just, like, kind of shoves one, and then it knocks a couple over, and it's just like, these guys are the worst. How did they infect anybody? But I guess they did it on such a mass scale that it, like, knocked out everybody in population, and it started as a Mad Max crazy zone. yeah, I highly recommend this movie if you can find it, because the distribution rights are all tied up. I don't even think legally you can get it on DVD anywhere. Any of the Dead, which technically I watched the second one in the trilogy because there's Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead, which is George Romero's zombies movies. But Night of the Living Dead is very famous for being insanely hard to come by, except, excitingly enough, Night of the Living Dead just got released on the Criterion Collection. So now it is probably the most accessible one out of the three to get. Dawn of the Dead, I found a couple rips on YouTube, which I don't know if they are the right cut, but I watched a cut of the movie, and it was in 1080p, so it was pretty good. Like, I don't know, I feel like I've seen the movie. It was pretty gene epic. I want to take a moment to talk about the great special effects, which I hardly ever talk about, from Tom Savini, a horror icon. He worked with George Romero a lot. He went on to do the special effects in Friday the 13th 1 and 4, I think, which 4 is regarded as one of the best. I know you know that now because you told me that you knew that, and I was shocked.
Yep.
Because you're not a horror movie man.
Nope.
You just found that out on the street one day.
Yes.
Some guy told you on the bus or something.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm really glad that some dude's like, yo, Friday the 13th, 4 and 6 are the good ones.
4 and 6 are good.
Don't watch any of the other ones. But yeah, so Tom Savini, he's probably one of the best practical effects guys, especially of that era. He has this trick that I absolutely love, because squibs were kind of a thing, but they were difficult and dangerous. So like instead of like when someone gets shot now, I want to use Tarantino as an example, but that is not how most modern squibs are done. But you shoot someone in the head, you get a burst out front, and you get a burst out back, a bigger burst out back usually. Tom Savini thought, well, we can't rig some explosives up to a guy's head because that's going to make his head fall off. I have this little trick. And what he did was he got this like a little patch of like epoxy that like looked like skin tone, or I guess it was like blue because all the zombies are blue in this movie. You get like this little layer of skin, you fill it up with blood, and then you put like a quarter in it, and then like you tie a string to the quarter, you put the quarter on the guy's head where you want the bullet to come out, and then you seal the epoxy full of blood on top of it, and then when you're ready to shoot, you pull the string, and then the quarter comes out and all the blood comes out too. It's a very innovative way of doing that, which I thought was really interesting. I did some digging on it because I was impressed with the special effects of the time. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. I'm also a big fan of George Romero's editing, which I never talk about. I never talk about editing, but there is a lot of like, especially in the beginning, the very opening of the movie is a news station. As all this stuff is breaking, one of the main characters, she's like a station manager or something. She works behind the scenes, and like nobody knows exactly what is happening. There's like so much sound. It's like I'm watching a David Lynch movie. You can't hear what anybody's saying, and like there's like moments where like it kind of slows down, and then like the people who are being interviewed about this zombie outbreak, they're just like, you need to cut off someone's head, you need to shoot their brain because that is literally the only way, and then just everybody starts exploding again. Just it's those touches that are great. Also, George Romero plays a director as in the newsroom. I'm like, that's George Romero. I know every 70s director looks the same. They got big hair and big beard and big glasses. Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese. Martin Scorsese never had a beard, but big glasses. Spielberg, George Romero. I want to say Sam Raimi, but I don't think he had glasses. But you get my point. Watch Dawn of the Dead and The Scream. Great movies. Try to avoid Texas Chainsaw Massacre at all costs. even if they make a new one. I don't know if they're going to do that, but maybe. I think that's it. That's all I have. We can move on to
That's it?
music. I know, very brief segment. Brief part of the podcast, clocking in at an hour 15. I just talked a lot, so now you can talk about music. Although I do have one thing to say about music.
Okay. I didn't listen to too much this week.
You coward. What were you doing?
Not listening.
Engineering?
To music. Yep. You know me.
Yeah.
I'm a big engineer guy. The one thing I did listen to, or there's a couple things I listened to. West Side Gun, new album.
Yeah.
This was very unfortunate timing for him. The album he was releasing was going to be in the Hitler Wears Hermes series. It's going to be the 10th one. Unfortunately for him, Kanye was talking about how he wanted to name his Ye album Hitler. So that was kind of in the news cycle for a little bit. And then that was just a little unfortunate that like West Side Gun has 10 of these albums that it has Hitler in the title. Because it's like a play on The Devil Wears Prada, so it's Hitler Wears Hermes, which is kind of funny.
That is funny.
So he released the album, but he just named it 10. So this is 10.
10.
10. It's pretty good. I really like West Side Gun. He doesn't always have like the most consistent album releases. Sometimes he puts out like little tiny projects that are kind of okay. His like Peace Fly God record this year was okay. It didn't really do too much for me. But something like this one felt like a straight mixtape. I don't know who, he's such a good curator that he was like, let me put DJ drama on my song because there's not enough just like really strange vocal screaming and stuff going on. I need DJ drama to like yell some funny stuff while I go boo 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 boo. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The album starts with like A.A. Rashid just like going into like how like high art and everything like they usually do because it's always like this is street rap but it's like high art street rap. That's like Griselda's thing. So it's like a 3-minute like rant about that, and then it goes into the second track where it's just DJ drama just yelling. It's kind of funny. And then the first real track that I got was Super Kick Party, which is track 3. That was really great. West Side Gun definitely can keep up with everybody when he wants to. He's got such a good, his flow's so unique. I really like it. There's something about it that I just really like. There's some kind of like confidence there that's just like next level. But features on this thing are absolutely insane. After that, we got Shootouts in Soho with A$AP Rocky and Stove God. Stove God's all over this thing, which is good. Stove God has been really close to West Side Gun these last couple of releases, which is not a bad thing. But yeah, that song is great. Peppa's with Black Star. This man got Black Star on the track.
I love Black Star.
Yeah, they both did great. I will say that this song sounds like they took this from the new Black Star album because the mixing on both of their vocals is really rough, which is how it is on the new record of theirs because they recorded it in like hotel rooms on like microphones that aren't studio quality.
Yeah.
So mixing's not good, but like the song goes hard, so I don't really care.
Okay.
It kind of matches the mixtape quality of this record anyways. But yeah, that one's definitely one of my favorites. Hearing West Side Gun next to both of them is definitely something. What else? Science Class with Busta Rhymes and Raekwon and Ghostface Killah is crazy.
Oh.
And Stove God, of course. That is a very big lineup, and there's a really cool way that they built the track of like the sample refrain that like kind of pieces out each of their verses. So they all tell a story through their verse, and it all connects to back to like whatever the line on the sample was. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they like related to that topic. It was really cool. But yeah, that one's really fantastic. Switches on everything. You got Run the Jewels on this thing.
What?
I think LP produced this beat because it definitely sounds like something he would do. But that turned out really well as well. Yeah, this is a very consistent project. There's a couple songs where I'm kind of about, but like the whole thing just feels like a really fun, like loose mixtape. So it's not really like the biggest deal. It's just a fun thing to put on. It's bumping in the car. That's all I gotta say, and that's all I really need from West Side Gun at this point.
That's right.
So this was a big success for me. I really like this one. He kind of fell off my radar for a little bit because his last release was kind of, and I wasn't sure if he was gonna hold off this year or if he was gonna put something else out. So
Yeah.
I'm glad this came out. Other new thing this week, Smino's album Love for Rent. This thing's pretty good. I need to listen to it more. I just listened to it today. But I love his combo of like Southern R&B and hip hop. He does this very well. A lot of sticky hooks on this thing. Smino's one of those guys who's always been like a really fantastic feature artist. Like if you see a song featuring Smino, you know it's about to be really, really good. But like his solo music has never grabbed me too much. But a couple of songs on here are like really, really great. So I am messing with this. I need to go back into his later or his earlier work too and see if he's got what else he's got. Because I don't know. He's like Jid if he was more on the R&B side of things. He's got that Atlanta style, kind of like Outkast, where they kind of put their hat in many things, where it's like, here's a fast flow, here's like a really good singing track, that kind of thing. But yeah, pretty good record. I need to listen to it a lot more. But my first impressions were that I enjoyed most of the songs here.
Okay.
SZA came back with a song. That's crazy.
I love this song.
It's so good. It's very good. It's got 10 million plays already. It's crazy.
It's so good.
I think this song blew up on TikTok before it came out, so I think that's one of the reasons why it like got so much traction so quickly. But yeah, it's fantastic. This better be on a new record or something, because like
I think this is the lead up to something.
I would think so. It sounds like it.
Yeah. I also, while we're talking about this as a song, I listened to Control Deluxe. A lot of them, they're definitely B-sides. The Love Galore alt version just removed Travis Scott. She does do a verse on it, which is pretty good. But for the audio transition's not very good. Because it's like, the line is like, what is it? Girls, I dated a few, and then it transitions into Travis's verse. For some reason, it cuts few off too early. So it's like, dated and then it like transitions into her. I'm like, okay, don't know exactly what that is.
All right.
But the like fully fleshed songs I thought were pretty good. 2 a.m. and Jody, I think are highlights for me. But yeah, Shirt is better than all the stuff on the deluxe. So
I would hope so.
Yeah, because it is. I love this song. I've been listening to it nonstop. I just keep listening to it over and over again. Why even listen to anything else?
True.
Have you listened to
those
Taylor
are the new
Swift?
stuff. I listened to like 2 songs. I'll get to it eventually. I'm not like, I don't know.
But she has
the
every
hype is
top
not
10.
there for me.
She has
The hype is
every
not there for me.
single.
I don't care.
Every single top 10 position on the
care.
Billboard. It's all her.
It doesn't matter.
It's the best album of all time.
Folklore gripped me immediately, and so did Evermore. This one's like, I don't know. I'm never in the mood like for the past 2 weeks where I'm like, I need to sit down and listen to this Taylor Swift record.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No,
I'll get there eventually. I don't want to listen to it and have to like force myself to get through it, because then I'm gonna like have a skewed perception of what it is.
Yes. I should probably preface that I haven't listened to it either.
Yeah.
I listened to the first 3 songs and I'm like, oh, this sounds like old Taylor Swift, and then I turned it off.
Lavender Haze was okay.
I don't remember.
I felt like it was a decent song. I also don't remember it that much, but I remember.
Okay.
I remember thinking it was quite decent.
Okay.
I wasn't like listening. King Gizzard album Changes is out. We're gonna do a video on that, so that will be out next week.
Yep.
Round out our little King Gizzard madness.
It's madness.
Yeah. Drake and 21 Savage pushed their album back to this Friday. instead of last Friday. So we'll see what that's cooking like next week. Well, there won't be a podcast next week. So in 2 weeks, you'll see how I'm feeling on that. I hope this is good. I really hope this is good. Like, 21 Savage is so good, and I just need Drake to just rap and not try it hard at all. Just please, I don't care. Just do something, please. Like, this should be great.
Yeah. When does that come out?
This
Do we
Friday,
not know?
November 4th.
Friday. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe we should listen to a reaction. We should get the Drake fans in our YouTube comments.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that'd go.
Not good.
Yeah. But I'll give my thoughts on it whenever we do the podcast next. Nas has announced King Disease 3.
Oh, boy.
So that's going to be coming out on November 11th. Kind of excited for that. Both of the other King's Diseases have been really great. Yeah, Nas is kind of on a hot streak right now. Oh, yeah, he also did Magic last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been on a roll. So, like, how many decades in? Like 3 decades in now. He's still killing it.
Yeah.
Love it. Borkampin, they released the cover art and the title for their last album, The Family, that comes out November 17th.
Pretty good.
We might give this a reaction, possibly. I don't know.
We'll have to see if Bab Jab will want to do that.
About Bab Jab, so
I thought the cover was pretty weird.
The cover is kind of wacky. I kind of like it. There's like little Easter eggs to like all their albums in there.
Yeah, I saw there was an iridescence baby.
Yeah, and like the blue parents.
The blue parents, yeah.
All that stuff. So that looks kind of cool. We'll see what's cooking with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is going to be the last record. I have no emotional attachment to this group, so.
I don't either. Well, it sounds like I'm actually excited for this, because I would love a Bareface record.
Yeah, I'm excited for them to do solo stuff. I feel like this is definitely the right time to call it because people are kind of getting sick of it too.
And I'm just interested to see where everyone's gonna go. It's like an odd future
I know
situation.
Kevin Abstract makes really good solo music. He's had a couple good albums out there, and then the newer singles he's been releasing I've been a big fan of.
Yes.
So they'll all be fine. I know that.
Well, especially the big ones. I need a Bareface record. I think he is I don't think. He's pretty much the Frank Ocean of the group.
Yeah.
Where he
I think he executive produced this new record too.
Okay.
So.
I'm in. I'm following his career with great. I forgot the frickin' Palpatine quote. Not a true nerd.
Yeah.
You got it.
You just ranted about Star Wars.
I don't care. Lay off.
Not a real nerd.
I'm not a real nerd.
He didn't go for 25 minutes.
That's right.
Yeah, the Wise Blood record comes out November 18th, so November's looking to be a good month.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yes.
I think that's pretty much it that I wanted to talk about. Still jamming the Carly Rae Jepsen, all that stuff. Arcade Cake 4 is out now. Go listen or watch our reaction to us listening to it.
I will never
if you
do
would
that.
like. Or don't. I honestly do not care.
That's not the best sales tactic.
I don't care.
Do or don't. I do not care if you buy our product.
Yeah. There's No Worries song. It's great, though. It's so good.
No
With
Worries.
Anderson .Paak. Yeah.
Oh, yes. I did listen to that.
I
thought it was pretty good.
I love it. Yeah. But we got Viewer Reaction Marathon coming soon. We got King Gizzard next week. Then we're doing Brandy Full Moon after that.
That's right.
And then it's up to the wheel to decide our fate for the next month or so.
I hope we're going to get
possibly 2 months.
Sufjan Stevens changes.
So.
Oh, not changes. What is it? All Delighted People?
All Delighted People, yeah.
I hope it's that one.
I hope so. I think that's it.
That's it?
I think so.
Man, you're not a music nerd at all.
I've been enjoying the music we've been like listening to.
Huh.
So this is actually a very good point for me right now. I'm like satisfied with like the stuff that we've been reacting to and everything, and I've just been really digging into that, which is nice.
Yeah, that's a change.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's usually my thing. I usually hyperfixate on things for months, and then you're the
I
one
usually
who
have
listens
like
to a whole
a couple
bunch.
spurts during the year where I go crazy, and like usually at the beginning of the year I'll hit a point where it's like, all right, I need new stuff, and then I'll just dive into a new genre completely. Right now, chilling. I feel like I'm like that in the winter months for some reason.
Because you're slowed down.
Maybe.
You're trying to hibernate. You
Yeah, I'm
gathered
trying to
all your
hibernate.
food
I gathered all
for
my
winter.
good music, and now I get to enjoy all of it.
That's right. Sleep.
Exactly.
I listened to the first 3 tracks of the Carly Rae Jepsen record, and I couldn't get into it. Maybe I need to give it another listen.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe
Western Wind. Western Wind.
Western Wind.
Western Wind.
Try that one. I started listening to it, and I'm like, this is the whitest thing I've ever
Oh, it
listened
really
to.
is, but I love it.
And that's coming from me.
It's so cozy.
Yeah.
Or Go Find Yourself or whatever is a good one too.
What about the Rufus Wainwright?
That one's pretty good too. That one's like ultra white, but I kind of like it.
Well, I would expect nothing less from Carly Rae Jepsen and Rufus Wainwright.
Yeah, I gotta flex my whiteness a little bit sometimes.
Okay. I don't know if it's something to flex.
Gotta shine through sometimes.
Okay. Okay.
I feel like it's not often, but sometimes I gotta be like, you know.
I'm proud of my people when it comes to
Yeah.
Carly Rae Jepsen.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Except Norwegians is, yeah. It's as white as I get.
Yeah. Is she Norwegian?
I don't know.
Okay. It is a
She's
sen.
British. I think she's British.
Wow.
Yeah, it is a sen, so I don't know.
But there are British people who have sons because of freaking Vikings.
Yeah.
She's Canadian.
Oh, she's Canadian?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought she had an accent.
She has a Canadian accent.
Oh,
I don't know.
huh.
She
Interesting. I always thought she was British.
she's from British Columbia.
Oh.
Oh.
Maybe that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. In 2007, Jepsen placed 3rd on the 5th season of Canadian Idol. So that's how she got her start, I guess.
Nice.
I don't know why I was thinking I'd be able to find... Oh, I did find her ethnicity. Wow, okay. She is of Danish, English, and Scottish descent. Okay. Scottish makes sense because the Vikings were up there.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Now that we've traced a random pop star's lineage, that's all I have.
That's all you have.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I might give the loneliest time a time.
Wow.
I'll give it a time today. Not today, but sometime. Sometime. I don't know. Yeah, I'm still listening to Titanic Rising and Sling, and I'm still really into Control. It's been like 3 months, and I'm still really into it. It's slowly climbing up as being one of my favorite records. I just love it so much. I'm such a SZA stan. I can't wait to listen to the Doja Cat SZA song that was the thing that happened last year. Remember that?
I do remember that.
Okay, cool. I'm going to go listen to that right now. So.
I'm going to go to sleep.
Okay. Cool guy over here. Going to sleep on All Hallows Eve.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, bye-bye.